Hello everyone, this is CyberEric with another overview and impressions video. This is for Gears of War Reloaded, which is the latest game for the Gears of War franchise, but it's mostly a remaster of the 2006 original Gears of War. Yeah, so this is basically made by the Coalition, obviously originally made by Epic Games, and it's got a lot of enhancements like 4K, 60 frames per second assets, etc. But before I go on, I would like to first ask to please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. And as always with my videos, I like to start with kind of some of the gameplay aspects. In this case, we're going to go over a little bit of the campaign and some of the gameplay overview for Gears of War Reloaded. And again, it's basically the same game as Gears of War 1 back in the 2006 Xbox 360 era. It is a cover shooter, as you see there on the screen. You press A to enter into cover, A if you're using the Xbox controller, and you can jump around, and you're gonna be aiming in third person. And if you didn't know, the characters will tell you to take cover. It'll keep you alive, and it is the basis of it. And this basically started the whole concept of making cover shooters popular back in the day. If you don't remember, this is almost 20 years ago. Again, Reloaded is more of an enhanced version of the game, where you basically get 60 frames per second for the campaign, 120 frames per second for the multiplayer, and a couple other concepts. So again, as you're going through the campaign, and even in multiplayer, you'll see this. You have to also have you're gonna have teammates with you. You wanna revive them. And you do that quickly with pressing the A button. You don't have to leave it pressed or anything. You're gonna find ammo on the ground. You're gonna have the active reload, which you'll see in the background here and there. And it's a very popular mechanic that Gears of War made popular. So I'll go here. You see the reload. If you do it well, you get an active reload, and you're gonna have the blinking ammo as you see up there. And that just means that you basically are doing a little bit more damage. By the way, this is not a melee fighter. You do not want to melee in this game unless you have the chainsaw gun, and even then, that's mostly a one-time kill kind of thing. You want to stay in cover, you want to aim, shoot, and obviously run around the enemies, flank them, etc. As you go over the game and the campaign, you're going to find your different enemies, the locusts here, and they're going to be coming out of the ground. You're going to use your grenades to kind of seal those holes. And obviously the grenades are useful for obviously blowing enemies up, etc. But here I am, for example, closing down the emergence holes, as you call them here, and grabbing more grenades to kind of make sure that this is one of the main mechanics that you see there. You can press Y when there's like a different things that the game wants you to see, and again, the grenade will blow them up, so which is basically easier. But again, this is my third or fourth playthrough of the original Gears. I think I play it every 5 years or so. And Reloaded is basically the ultimate edition of Gears of War 1 Ultimate came out a few years ago. If you played that, you're not gonna find anything new here. This is basically that game, honestly repackaged and re-released. And again, more explosions. You don't always have to aim down the sights. You can just aim from the hip, and it'll do the job. You're gonna have turrets. You're gonna have different small gameplay aspects that'll change the combat, the flow of the combat. For the most part, this is basically what you're gonna be getting. Oh, and I am getting this game from Xbox Game Pass, as just FYI for anybody. But it's also available on PlayStation 5 and PC. And I would actually highly recommend it, particularly if you haven't played it before. On PlayStation users, get this game. This is a gem. However, if you played Ultimate Edition before, you will know what to expect. Obviously, you're gonna have different weapons, different enemy types. In here, you have I've actually forgot their name, these little crawlers that run around and attack you. You'll see them throughout the game. You also have different weapons, like the shotgun. The shotgun is OP, particularly in the campaign, but also in multiplayer, and I'll show that a little bit in a second. Let's do this. But for the most part, if you have a shotgun, don't let it go. It's amazing, particularly in Gears of War 1. And again, you're also gonna have a diversity of enemies. In here, you're gonna have, I'm showing here the Berserker. This happens early in the game. It's more like a boss fight kind of thing. But there are very cool mechanics that kind of enhance the gameplay aspects. And one of those mechanics, as you'll see here now, is the Hammer of Dawn. This is the satellite bomb flame weapon that they have for the Gears of War franchise. And it's used to basically take out some of the bigger enemies. And it's a mechanic that you'll see around the campaign. yeah, but that's basically Gears of War Reloaded for the campaign. It's a lot of fun if you haven't played it in a while. Definitely, this is the moment to see it. This is a great remaster for it. It plays still extremely well. It's still super fun, and you're gonna have a lot of fun just playing through it, particularly if you haven't done it before. And I actually also wanted to showcase some of the story concepts, which is basically, of course, when you start the game, you get out of prison. Marcus Phoenix, the main character, is released by Dom, Dominic, his friend there, and basically you're gonna be recruited by this military guys to fight their war for them. You're gonna have different guests, additional characters like Cole here, very popular character, and Baird, also one of the main crew members. And if you played Gears of War in the trilogy, you know that these are characters that you're gonna see throughout, and you're gonna really enjoy watching them here for the first time in Gears of War 1. You're also gonna have your bad guys. I believe this was I forgot this bad guy's name actually, but I'm gonna keep going because it's fun. But yeah, you're gonna have a lot of bad guys. This is gonna be the main trash, I think it's what it's called, and he's gonna be the main baddie for the game. It also sets up the lore for Quinn and Myra and Gears of War 2 and 3. So it's actually a really good introduction to the Gears of War franchise. This is just an excellent game. Obviously, Gears of War 2 and 3 just enhance it, but Gears of War 1 is still a classic game that you're gonna want to play again, particularly with Reloaded. I did want to include this video because you might find some glitches when you play the campaign. The glitches will basically be small things like this here, where the guy is basically standing in the air, thinking he's on cover. This happens a few times, at least during my playthrough. It's nothing game breaking. You won't have any problems with finishing the campaign or anything, but it's just FYI. All right, versus. So our PvP multiplayer, basically you have a PvP mode. This is one of the things that made Gears very successful. This is the multiplayer for Gears of War 1. So be prepared that it's kind of like an old school style multiplayer. And you got limited amount of lives. In this mode, there's only a limited set of modes. And this mode is called King of the Hill, where you basically have to stand in a spot and you have to kind of hold it. This guy coming at me with a shotgun. I'm like, no, I'm not a newbie. I'm not taking that corner without checking. But if you want to know how to use the chain gun properly, here's how it's done, buddy. And there you go. And that's a very successful tactic in multiplayer. You cannot block that, by the way. In later Gears, they made it so that in PvP there's kind of like a way to counter it. But in Gears of War 1, it was straight up. Whoever got the animation first, that was it. You were dead. Shotgun is still key in multiplayer, as I'll show here in a second as well. This is how you see team deathmatch, for example. You have a limited number of lives. There's other smaller modes like long shot. You only have snipers only, but bang. There you go, one shot kill with the shotgun. You kind of want to go in, out, dive into the enemies. Make sure you have your active reload for those higher damage shotgun shells or any other weapon that you're using. And that goes away after a while. And in this case, try not to go 2v2 unless you're really, really good, or you might just get one shot like that. But yeah, multiplayer, it's exactly how you remember it to be. You can do the little tactic here where he's basically, this player here is basically reloading to get the extra bullets, and he's basically fighting two people close range. Again, very difficult. And again, look at the teammate just revive immediately. The revives are extremely quick. This is why it's also good to be next to a team. So overall impressions. This, again, Gears of War, it's a classic old school game. In this case, it's almost 19 years old. Gears of War is a classic. However, for me, it almost kind of felt too old school. This remaster is just very basic, bare bones. It's still very similar to Ultimate, and I played Ultimate back in the day, so for me, it didn't feel like anything new. It's nice to go back and play Gears, but I'm waiting for the next one, Gears of War Origins, Emergence Day, whatever it's gonna be called. The combat still holds up very well. Aiming feels a little bit off, but that's because I'm probably not used to it. But once it flows, like you see here in the background here, it flows, particularly with the shotgun, as I mentioned, in multiplayer, and even in single player. It just flows so well. It feels so good. Again, Gears of War is extremely good. And it's just classic Gears. You're gonna be running around a lot, using different weapons to take out the enemy. And it's also 2-player co-op, by the way. I highly recommend playing it in co-op if you have this chance. Yeah, so overall, again, I thought that this was a very good remaster. However, if I gave it a score, it would be a 7 out of 10, simply because I played this before in Ultimate. I don't feel like there's anything new that they're adding to this version, other than, you know, additional 4K enhancements or anything like that, but it's still classic Gears. There's nothing wrong with it. If you never played it before, this is basically a 9. But with that, please like and subscribe. That is it for my video, my quick overview. And as always, have a good one, everyone.